Smart people can figure it out is not an onboarding strategy. It's straight laziness. Startup founders and managers love this Steve Jobs quote. It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. Basically saying, hire smart people and get out of their way. But here's the truth. That's only half of the equation. Jobs also said this.
The greatest people are self-managing. They don't need to be managed. Once they know what to do, they'll go figure out how to do it. They don't need to be managed at all. What they need is a common vision, and that's what leadership is. What leadership is having a vision, being able to articulate that so the people around you can understand it, and getting a consensus on a common vision.
But when you skip intentional onboarding, you fail at setting a common vision, which costs startups millions in wasted capital, time, and talent. So in this video, I'll show you why no one hits the ground running, as many managers like to say, and why poor employee onboarding destroys even the smartest teams, plus exactly what you can do to prevent it. First impressions make or break an employee's chances of staying at a company. The Harvard of HR, SHRM, their data shows that 70% of employees feel unprepared in the first 3 to 6 months. But what's worse is that a 2025 Gallup poll cited that 88% of employees believe their company's onboarding was unsatisfactory. To help you avoid these, we're going to cover 3 things. Why even the highest performing teams don't hit the ground running and why this thinking leads to disaster. A $4 billion case study of what can go extremely wrong when you focus too much on moving fast and executing and not enough time on employee onboarding and culture. And then 3 tangible solutions you can apply tomorrow. If you're serious about avoiding multi-million-dollar hiring mistakes and want a blueprint you can trust, then also watch the masterclass below in the description. As I said, no one hits the ground running. Having worked with hundreds of startups, I cringe anytime I hear this. As a hiring leader, you're under a lot of stress to hire the right person. I get it, but this is lazy thinking and it needs to stop. Steve Jobs' advice is only 50% correct. Of course, you should hire smart people and not micromanage them. Managers who skip thoughtfully onboarding employees send a message. You're saying we don't care about your success. And I know that sounds harsh, but your culture is not posters on walls, ping pong tables, or pizza parties. It's behaviors you tolerate and the messages you send, whether that be through action or a lack of action. And onboarding is your first chance to prove what standards you actually live by. Here's the takeaway. No matter how smart your new hires are, a lack of direction and lackluster onboarding just creates chaos and turnover. Exhibit A, Babylon Health. They're a $4 billion example of exactly what can go wrong when you're not thoughtful about hiring, onboarding, and team culture. They were founded in London in 2013. They wanted to do with healthcare what Google did for data, making it freely and readily accessible to everyone, clinicians and patients. By 2016, they had raised tens of millions of dollars, even though at that point, they didn't really have the product that they were promising the market, which included AI features that could help with clinical decision-making. Poor management, hiring sprees, growth at all costs, and non-existent employee onboarding meant that 3 different teams built 3 incompatible versions of the same app that didn't speak to each other. Basically, people were doing double and triple work. A product manager was wandering the office on their second day, and they were basically abandoned. They had been given no directions and were left to fend for themselves. Now, mind you, this is an extreme example, but that's not even the crazy part. In 2021, they actually went public with a $4 billion valuation. How, Sway? Make it make sense. They wanted to move fast and break things, which is often classic startup culture. But when that's taken too far, employees quit, products fail, and investors and everyone loses billions of equity. Hiring is a gamble. It is what it is. But we can make smart, data-driven bets by being intentional and not expecting smart people to just hit the ground running and get after it. Listen, babies don't hit the ground running. Neither do new hires. When you ignore onboarding and sacrifice quality for speed, Babylon Health is proof that it can cost you billions. So What is the antidote? Here's exactly how to avoid an onboarding disaster in 3 steps. First, you need to systemize their welcome. Deliver a series of automated short emails 1 to 2 weeks before day number 1. Share resources, context about the team, and a quick video of you sharing specifics on why you're excited for them to join. Changing jobs is exciting, but it can also be terrifying. So a short 3-minute video can help strengthen what I call the emotional contract and help decrease this new hire's anxiety, leading to even better performance. Number 2 is you need to stack the deck for success. So lay out a 14-day sprint plan, anchor them in the purpose, people, and process. Why do we exist? Who are they going to work with? Who are they going to collaborate with? And how do we get things done as a team? But most importantly, communicate their first wins and their first deliverables. This is so simple. Imagine starting a new job and your manager saying, you're not just going to focus on paperwork on your first week. That'll be great. But by the end of week 1, you'll have already made progress on X. You'll already have met with Y, right? This set expectations, but also strengthens that emotional contract I spoke about. Be sure to include an overview of this in your welcome emails, and your new hire is going to start to feel and see the momentum and get excited before they even join. Finally, make sure you map out the first 90 days. If you're smart, you've created a performance profile and you've already included this in the job description. Think about how we walk and learn as infants. First, there's dexterity. Like, we can't even hold our heads up. And then we start crawling, we start standing, we start taking steps, and then we start walking. So clarify what your version of walking looks like for this new hire in the first 3 to 6 months, and then work backwards from there. Your goal is for them to be functional and connected. And most people only focus on the first part, meaning they can do the job you hired them for and they feel connected to the team and the work itself. The functional piece is having clear goals, clear standards, continuous feedback loops, but being sure to also balance feedback with positive praise and recognition. This increases the chance of your new hire feeling both connected to the team and the work itself. I landed and managed a cross-functional team at the last startup that I scaled that focused on diversity, equity, and belonging. Here's a glimpse of how I onboarded new members. Now, I had to be really thoughtful because this was a volunteer-based team. This wasn't the main priority for these new members. Still included clear outcomes, specific tasks, exactly what success looked like, along with specific team rituals to build trust and connection with new members. So don't half-ass the onboarding because Steve Jobs told you smart people can figure it out on their own, and don't expect high performers to succeed without intentional connection, coaching, and the support required for them to be successful. Follow this recipe and your new hires will actually feel like they hit the ground running. And let's maybe just get rid of that term altogether. If you're serious about avoiding these kinds of hiring mistakes and want to become a respected leader who can hire with the utmost confidence, watch the masterclass below in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.